The development of flight. A production of Tuition Near Me. Aviation began in the 18th century with the development of the hot air balloon, an apparatus capable of atmospheric displacement through buoyancy. Clement Ader built the Ader in France and made an uncontrolled, powered hop in 1890. This is the first powered aircraft, although it did not achieve controlled flight. Some of the most significant advancements in aviation technology came with the controlled gliding flying of Otto Lilienthal in 1896. Then a large step in significance came with the construction of the first powered airplane by the Wright brothers in the early 1900s. Since that time, aviation has been technologically revolutionized by the introduction of the jet, which permitted a major form of transport throughout the world. In 1799, Sir George Cayley set forth the concept of the modern airplane as a fixed-wing flying machine with separate systems for lift, propulsion, and control. Otto Lilienthal was the first person to make well-documented, repeated, successful flights with gliders, therefore making the idea of heavier than air a reality. Newspapers and magazines published photographs of Lilienthal gliding, favorably influencing public and scientific opinion about the possibility of flying machines becoming practical. Lilienthal's work led to him developing the concept of the modern wing. His flight attempts in Berlin in 1891 are seen as the beginning of human flight, and the Lilienthal normal schedule apparatus is considered to be the first airplane in series production, making the Maskin and Fabric Otto Lilienthal in Berlin the first airplane production company in the world. Lilienthal is often referred to as either the father of aviation or father of flight. There are many competing claims for the earliest powered, heavier-than-air flight. The first recorded powered flight was carried out by Clement Ader on October 9, 1890, in his bat-winged, fully self-propelled fixed-wing aircraft, the Ader Eel. It was reportedly the first manned, powered, heavier-than-air flight of a significant distance, 50 meters, but insignificant altitude from level ground. 7 years later, on October 14, 1897, Ader's Avion 3 was tested without success in front of two officials from the French War Ministry. The report on the trials was not publicized until 1910, as they had been a military secret. In November 1906, Ader claimed to have made a successful flight on October 14, 1897, achieving an uninterrupted flight of around 300 meters. Although widely believed at the time, these claims were later discredited. The Wright brothers made the first successful powered, controlled, and sustained airplane flight on December 17, 1903, a feat made possible by their invention of three-axis control and in-house development of an engine with a sufficient power-to-weight ratio. Only a decade later, at the start of World War I, heavier-than-air powered aircraft had become practical for reconnaissance, artillery spotting, and even attacks against ground positions. Aircraft began to transport people and cargo as designs grew larger and more reliable. The Wright brothers took aloft the first passenger, Charles Furnace, one of their mechanics, on May 14, 1908. During the 1920s and 1930s, great progress was made in the field of aviation, including the first transatlantic flight of Alcock and Brown in 1919, Charles Lindbergh's solo transatlantic flight in 1927, and Charles Kingsford Smith's transpacific flight the following year. One of the most successful designs of this period was the Douglas DC-3, which became the first airliner to be profitable carrying passengers exclusively, starting the modern era of passenger airline service. By the beginning of World War II, many towns and cities had built airports, and there were numerous qualified pilots available. During World War II, one of the first jet engines was developed by Hans Kahn O'Hane and accomplished the world's first jet-powered flight in 1939. The war brought many innovations to aviation, including the first jet aircraft and the first liquid-fueled rockets. The Cessna 172 is the most produced aircraft in history. After World War II, especially in North America, there was a boom in general aviation, both private and commercial, as thousands of pilots were released from military service and many inexpensive war surplus transport and training aircraft became available. Manufacturers such as Cessna, Piper, and Beechcraft expanded production to provide light aircraft for the new middle-class market. By the 1950s, the development of civil jets grew, beginning with the de Havilland Comet, though the first widely used passenger jet was the Boeing 707, because it was much more economical than other aircraft at that time. At the same time, turboprop propulsion started to appear for smaller commuter planes, making it possible to serve small volume routes in a much wider range of weather conditions. Since the 1960s, composite material airframes and quieter, more efficient engines have become available, and Concorde provided supersonic passenger service for more than 2 decades. But the most important lasting innovations have taken place in instrumentation and control. The arrival of solid-state electronics, the global positioning system, satellite communications, and increasingly small and powerful computers and LED displays have dramatically changed the cockpits of airliners and, increasingly, of smaller aircraft as well. Pilots can navigate much more accurately and view terrain, obstructions, and other nearby aircraft on a map or through synthetic vision, even at night or in low visibility. On June 21, 2004, Spaceship One became the first privately funded aircraft to make a spaceflight, opening the possibility of an aviation market capable of leaving the Earth's atmosphere. Meanwhile, the need to decarbonize the aviation industry to face the climate crisis has increased research into aircraft powered by alternative fuels, such as ethanol, electricity, hydrogen, and even solar energy, with flying prototypes becoming more common.
Tuition Near Me, your number one portal for everything that is related to education. See you at tuitionnearme.com.